Memories of You is a movie about jazz that's like listening to a jazz piece. It's a stream of consciousness film without being dreamlike. It's just that there are a series of vignettes that are presented without comment. The frame story is that there's a man who's about to retire from a company after 34 years, and everyone is either too sad or too apathetic to plan a retirement party for him. And he decides he wants his retirement party is getting a jazz band together to play at the office. And it's as if he's got to rediscover his love of jazz to figure out what to do after retirement because the company has been his whole life. And jazz represents improvisation. It represents playing and flying by the seat of your pants. But there's already a lot of that going on at this company. In the middle of the film, which is as far as I'm going to talk, he gets one last assignment to go to the Philippines on a business trip. And before that, he's supposed to write an essay about the way he feels about working at the company. And it's supposed to be 1,000 characters, which I assume would be 1,000 words. And I don't know who assigned him the essay. That's one of the things I say that is presented without comment. And I think this is the first time that we get voiceover from this man's thoughts. And he says he compares the company to a village, even though he knows it's just business. But the people are very involved with each other. And you see groups of friends doing things together, but you don't know who they are or what the context is most of the time, which is what makes it so stream of consciousness. There's two guys. One is coming on, one is coming off a shift. And the one that's coming on says to the other guy, I wrote a haiku on the train today. And there's a guy looking at another guy's tongue in the office saying, well, I guess you've been drinking a lot of expensive liquor. I know a doctor for you. And there's women that look at the cafeteria and say, oh, let's go out for Indonesian instead. And then we're eavesdropping on their conversation, just snippets of their life. And the only two of them really become main characters. And there's a great scene with the main character. He's working late on his essay, and one of his employees comes in drunk. He's been to a high school reunion, and he's got this box and says, oh, this is very popular now. I want it at bingo. And they start playing laser tag in the office in the dark. And there's a million little things like that. You would think that this movie would be hard to understand, because sometimes it's hard to understand jazz. A good friend of mine who, like me, has a minor in music, not a major, which means that you know just enough to know that you don't know anything. My friend compared jazz to like calculus, and I would tend to agree. But in this sense, sometimes you can just let jazz flow over you, and you can just let this movie flow over you. There's some great pieces in it. There's a guy playing The Way We Were on a trombone that the main character gets just dumbstruck by in the middle of a picnic with his wife and daughter and granddaughter. And then there's a point where he gets a letter saying he's got a mandatory meeting, but that mandatory meeting is a game with executives that's very much like, oh gosh, I'm stream of consciousness. That game that people play, Mahjong, and they're betting on Mahjong, and he can't not go. And during that, there's someone playing Stardust on Chimes. And then in the next scene where he's going out to eat with one of the secretaries that he has a crush on, someone's playing Stardust again on sort of one of those old-timey, sort of out-of-tune pianos. And there's a scene where the main character is talking to a friend we've seen him with on the train, and he's like to his friend, "Oh, you were a high class college trombone player, and I just played the drums at the Elvis Club, and I'm embarrassed," from the 50s. And he starts playing this great jazz beat on his drinking glass with, I think it's chopsticks. So the movie's just full of all the moments that make up the last few months of his working life. And as I said, I'm stopping telling you what happens in the action in the middle of the film when he flies away to the Philippines. But as I said in my last episode, when I was speaking about the discarnates, I also found memories of you on another country's Netflix while using a VPN. I've spoken to my husband, and I think it was the Netherlands that had those two movies up that I had not seen streaming in the United States. But that's been 15 years ago, I think, and it sticks with me in a way that it shouldn't, for something that just flows over you in the way this does. It's a very quietly powerful movie. But the good news is that Memories of You is not forbidden. You don't have to look for a bootleg or a DVD-R. You can just watch it on the Criterion channel, and I recommend that you do. And that's all I want to say about that. I don't want to ruin any more of it. I just wanted to tell you my feelings about it more than anything, how the whole movie is a jazz piece, and it's a movie about jazz. And the next movie that I'm going to talk about next week is a crime drama that's also a slasher starring Roy Scheider called Night Game from 1988. So look forward to that, and like and subscribe if you like jazz or if you hate jazz, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.